In this video,
You're going to learn how to use ElevenLabs.
How to convert text-to-speech, speech-to-speech, design voices,
clone your voice
And I'm going to show you everything I do to get the best results.
from this amazing speech synthesis tool. So if you don't know, ElevenLabs is a speech synthesis AI tool that allows you to generate speech from text and manipulate audio of voice recordings to give you a realistic AI voice. And I think that ElevenLabs is genuinely one of the most realistic AI voice generators out there in 2024. And honestly, it's actually super cheap too. You can try it for free, but you quickly get limited in terms of usage. And if you create a free account, your limits are a little bit bigger, but honestly, it's super cheap. So I just recommend that you start on the starter plan, which includes 10 custom voices, 30,000 characters, which equates to about 30 minutes of voiceover, according to their estimator. And on top of that, the starter plan also includes the commercial license, which means that you can use it in paid projects. And plus it's like $1 for the first month and then $5 afterwards, which again is super cheap, the price of a coffee. And honestly, I think more companies should make their tools this available. And later on down the line, if you do start hitting limits, which I don't think you will do to start off with, you just go to the creators plan. And now, most people I speak to about ElevenLabs don't actually fully understand what it is. Most people just think it's a simple text-to-speech tool, text-to-speech generator, but it's much more than that. The ElevenLabs AI actually understands context, which means that if you write something in the style of a book, the AI is going to try and interpret how to perform a certain passage from the context of the writing itself. You can guide it through the writing as you're writing it, which is super cool. And on top of that, it's also got a bunch of settings that can be used to achieve a wide range of emotions, and it's more like a voice actor than just a regular text-to-speech generator, and I think you're going to understand why a little later on in this video. So let me show you on the computer.
Hey YouTube, there's a link to sign up to ElevenLabs in the description. It is an affiliate link, but it won't cost you anything extra, and it'll help Alec make more high-quality videos just like this one.
So once you're in your account, the default tool is the speech synthesis tool. And this is where you can generate voiceovers from text. So basically it's the text-to-speech tool. At the top, you'll notice that you've actually got tasks where you've got two options, text-to-speech and speech-to-speech. And we're going to cover speech-to-speech in just a little bit. Now down here, we've got three settings or three drop-down menus in the settings section. And these three are probably the three most important that you want to take your time and customize. The first drop-down menu is where you can choose from a bunch of different pre-made male and female voices. So if I open up, as you can see, I've got loads of different options. On the left here, we can click to preview.
Never mistake motion for action.
And then you'll notice it's got a name and then a few tags. Now these tags actually mean something. The first tag, the purple tag, is the accents. As you can see here, American, we've got Irish, British, English, Italian. And then the second tag is actually the tone or the style of the voice. So whether it's whispering, whether it's calm, whether it's well-rounded. And then the third tag is actually the recommended use case, so the tag in red. As you can see, meditation, ASMR, narration, news presenter. And if you spend a lot of time on social media, I bet you've actually heard this voice right here.
Allow the world to live as it chooses, and allow yourself to live as you choose.
That one is probably like one of the most famous ElevenLabs voices. But then you've also got voices like Arnold, which I think sound like,
"What worries you masters you."
And then if we scroll down a little bit, we've actually got, where is he? You'll recognize this one maybe?
Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself.
Maybe it's just me, and obviously ElevenLabs didn't do this on purpose, I think. But interesting. Next, you've got voice settings, and this actually looks a little bit complicated to begin with, but don't worry, I'm going to explain, and I'm also going to give some recommendations as to what you should do. So, you've actually got three sliders. The first one is stability. The more you slide this to the right, the more stable it's going to become, meaning that there's going to be more consistency in terms of the voice on regenerations, but it can make it sound a little monotone. The more you slide it to the left, the more unstable and more variable it's going to be, and increasing the variability can make the speech more expressive with the outputs varying a lot between regenerations. But this can actually also lead to instabilities. So as you can see, we've got this red zone, so we should always try and keep it at 30% or above. If you are generating long chunks of text, I do recommend staying on the more stable side. That way your renders are more consistent. But if you're doing short one-liners or short video content, maybe get a little bit experimental. See what kind of crazy results you can get with the unstable stuff.
Hey guys, if you haven't signed up to ElevenLabs yet, I would greatly appreciate you using the link in the description. Hey guys, if you haven't signed up to ElevenLabs yet, I would greatly appreciate you using the link in the description.
Next up, we've got clarity and similarity enhancement. This dictates how closely the AI should adhere to the original voice when attempting to replicate it. If the original audio is bad quality and the similarity slider is set to high, the AI may reproduce some of the unwanted background noise when trying to mimic the voice from the recording. And now for text-to-speech, this is actually okay as we're choosing from pre-made voices, so they can almost always be set to high. I just tend to leave this on default, but basically if your captured audio is good, set it to high, and if your captured audio isn't as good, maybe try playing with it down a little lower. And again, I highly recommend playing around with all of these settings to see what kind of fun voices you can get. And then next, we actually have style exaggeration. Style is only available with the multilingual language V2 model, and I'm going to get to the language models in a bit. But this setting just attempts to amplify the style of the original speaker. It is a newer feature and more of an experimental one. The more you increase it, the more instability you'll get. But again, it can be a fun one to play around with, but you do get some pretty wacky results the higher the slider goes up. As you can see, the red zone here is like 50 to 100%. So I always just leave this at 0, and even ElevenLabs themselves recommend keeping this setting at 0 at all times. So again, it's only kind of like an experimental thing. If you want to go crazy, have fun with it. And then down here, we've got this speaker boost toggle, which is on by default. And again, this is just another setting that was introduced in the newer language models. Pretty simple, it just boosts the similarity to the original speaker. Most of the time, I've actually found the difference here to be very, very subtle. So not really worth it, I just leave it as is, which is default, toggled on. And then down here, the third drop down, we've got the different language models. And I just want to show that if we actually change this to multilingual V1, you'll see that we lose those last 2 features. But if we go down here, they actually say that they recommend switching to the 11 multilingual V2 model to get the best possible quality for this voice. So I'm just going to go back to it. But to explain what these are, we basically have 4 distinct models and they've each got unique features. So we've got English V1, the oldest and fastest, tailored for English-based tasks, but it's got limited accuracy. We've got multilingual V1 right here. So this one's a little bit more experimental, supports multiple languages, including various English dialects, German, Polish, and as you can see, a few more down here. Then we've got 11 multilingual V2, which is a much more advanced version, supporting 28 languages, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and many European languages. And this one's basically more stable, it's got more diversity within the languages, and also better accent accuracy. And then finally down here, we've got 11 Turbo V2, which is optimized for real-time low latency applications in English dialects. So I actually just always leave it on multilingual V2. Each model does kind of have its own strengths, but if you don't really know what you're doing, like myself, I would just always leave it on this one. It's the best one, one of the more recent ones, the one you've got the most creative freedom and flexibility with. And then once you've set all your settings, down here you've got the text box. Here you can go and put anything you want in. You can type out your text, you can paste your text, anything you want the AI to speak. There's no rules, but there are some pointers as to how to get a better output. The first one is pauses. You can use the syntax break time, X seconds, and basically that just adds a break and then the X represents the number of seconds you want the voice to pause. So break time equals 2 seconds is for a 2-second pause. And then you can either do break time equals 1.5 seconds for a 1.5 second pause. And the good thing about this is that this creates a natural pause within the speech. It doesn't just add a silence gap, it makes it natural.
Wait, give me a second to think about it. Okay, I'll hit the like button.
And I've also tried and read online that a simple dash or 3 dots will do the trick, but they are a little less reliable and sometimes don't sound as natural as using the syntax.
Wait, give me a second to think about it. Okay, I'll hit the like button.
Next, we've got pronunciation. So for the English V1 model, which I'm not using right now, you can customize the pronunciation using the International Phonetic Alphabet, which is IPA, but I don't know enough about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to share a link to some documentation from ElevenLabs down below. And then we've got emotion. So with ElevenLabs, you can get the AI to read your text with a certain emotional tone with dialogue tags or context. ElevenLabs actually even says that the best way to write and prompt its AI is the same way as it's written in a book. And this is when it comes to emotion, by the way. So for an example, for a happy tone, you might write, "She joyfully exclaimed, 'What a beautiful day.'" Or, "Are you sure about that?" he said in a confused tone. Or even, "Stop it," he shouted angrily, for an angrier tone. So just like you read things in a book, try doing that.
Why haven't you subscribed yet? Why haven't you subscribed yet? He shouted angrily.
One issue there though is that it will also generate that context, but you'll just have to go and edit that out in a video editor like Premiere Pro. And then pacing, it's the same thing as the emotion. You could imply a slower pace with a descriptive language like, I really like long walks at night, he said slowly.
I really like long walks at night. I really like long walks at night, he said slowly.
And by the way, I would love some tips from you guys in the comment section down below. So if I missed anything or if there's something that you do that you think is super helpful, let me know. But now that we've done text-to-speech, let's take a look at speech-to-speach. And speech-to-speech is essentially exactly the same as text-to-speech. All the settings are the same, so you've got the 3 drop-down menus, except here you can only use the English V2 language model. There's no other option. And then if we look down here, it's not a text input, it's actually an audio input. So we need to input an audio file, or we can directly record audio. And then what it does is it will regurgitate the exact same audio with a different voice. So if I said, hi, my name is James, run it through with the different voice, it sounds like,
hi, my name is James.
So voice changer might be a better name for the tool instead of speech to speech, but you are converting one voice tone to another, which is super cool, super fast. It means you don't have to spend time writing stuff out. I could just grab the mic, say exactly what I want it to say, and then have it said in a different voice. But the cool thing about that is that it'll also respect the cadence and the delivery from my recording, but just do it with a different voice.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things. Pancakes with lemon and sugar.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things. Pie taste with lemon and sugar.
So that is actually super cool. It's way much easier than having to play around with the pause, syntax, pacing thing. But let's say I'm happy with the way I input, but I'm not happy with any of the pre-made voices. Well, all I have to do is go and click on Add Voice right here. And then I'm taken to the Voice Lab. And this is where you can design an entirely new synthetic voice from scratch. And now, if you are on a free account, you actually won't have access to voice cloning, but to do so, all you need to do is subscribe to the starter pack. Again, it's $1. I think it's super worth it. But on a free account, you can also access voices from the voice library, and these are voices that people have actually decided to share with the community. The voices you make will only be available to you, unless you decide to do otherwise. And so here, it's actually super cool. All I have to do is click on Add Voice, and then as you can see, I can go and design a voice. So here I can choose between the gender, male and female, and then I can choose the age, young, middle-aged, old, and then I've got the accents. When you're designing a voice, you've only got these accents for the English language. Below that, you can adjust your strength. So let's say I wanted a female, old, I'm gonna go British, and then I'm gonna do super strong accent, generate.
First we thought the PC was a calculator. Then we found out how to turn numbers into letters and we thought it was a typewriter.
So as you can see, that generated quite fast and it was actually very good. And I do want to mention, anytime you generate, obviously you are going to use some of your characters. Here I just lost 128 because I used the default text. You do have to do 100 minimum. And then if I'm happy with that, I can actually just click use voice. I can give it a name. So let's just say old English lady. I'm just going to leave these tags, but you can change them. And then you can describe it. Again, put whatever description you want in there. If you're making it super unique, and if you're making a lot, just so you can remember, then you click create voice. And then that voice is added to your library. You can go and find these later on. As you can see, I made one earlier, which is me with a cold because I'm super sick right now, but I'm still making this tutorial. And then if I actually want to clone a voice, I just click on plus and I'm going to go to instant voice cloning. Here, we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to click Alec2. And then we just want to drag and drop a file. So I can just upload any audio file, open it up. Whoops, it's got to be less than 10 megabytes. I forgot that, but I've got one right here that I can just drop. And for your audio recording, there's actually a few things to note to get the best clone of your voice. The quality of the recording is super important, and that's actually more important than the length. They recommend more than a minute, but anything above 5 minutes doesn't make much of a difference. You want to avoid as much noise distraction as possible, so any background noise, any distractions, no. You want to try and record on a mic with obviously good audio, and that will help you get the best outcome as possible. ElevenLabs, I think they said themselves that a 1 to 2 minute recording of audio without any reverb, artifacts, or background noise appears to be the sweet spot. The AI then tries to mimic everything it hears from the audio. So that means the speed, the inflections, the accent, the tone, the breathing pattern, the noise, and mouth clicks. So you can almost do a little bit of voice acting when you're capturing it to get an even more unique voice. But because it does pick up on everything in your recording, if there is anything else in your audio, like background noise, the AI is also going to try and replicate those. So honestly, can't stress it enough, the higher quality audio recording, the better the voice clone is going to be. But then once you've done that, again, you could add more samples if you want to. I don't think that adding more samples is necessarily better. I think one recording with the same voice, the same delivery, the same accent gives you the best voice clone. More recordings, I think, kind of just distracts it a little bit. That could just be me. And I haven't cloned a voice with 25 samples. Maybe something you guys can try. Let me know in the comments. And then below that, you can add labels, description, and then just confirm that it is a voice that you're allowed to clone. Obviously not someone that you are cloning their voice illegally. And then you just do add voice. And then the AI takes a few seconds, a few minutes, generates your voice, and boom, I can now click on use. I'm taken to the speech synthesis tool with my voice pre-selected, and then I can go and change these, adjust these, and type out whatever I want. And finally, the last thing ElevenLabs can do is dubbing. And here, essentially, you can go and translate a video from one language to another. And this isn't translating in the form of subtitles, it's translating in the form of taking your audio and actually saying that in another language in your voice.
Et une dernière chose avant de conclure. Vidéo si vous l'avez vraiment trouvé utile et que vous voulez me soutenir gratuitement via le lien.
And one last thing before I wrap up this video, if you actually found it helpful and you want to support me free of charge, down in the link, if you haven't yet signed up to ElevenLabs, it is an affiliate link. I'll get a small commission at no extra cost to you. But if you don't want to do that or you're already signed up, I would just massively appreciate a subscribe and a like button. Thanks for watching. Peace out.